Starting with the acknowledgement of each breath, the in-breath, the out-breath, sensing the depth of the breath, the quality of the breath, without any judgment. Your experience is never wrong. Whatever is here is absolutely fine and welcome. In this breath to carry you moment to moment. And there's nothing that you have to do. If you're here, you're breathing, as Jon Kabat-Zinn likes to say. So what we're doing is leaning, turning towards this breath that comes and goes. Invitation to see if you can ride the cycle of the breath, the in-breath, the out-breath, and the in-breath again, and the out-breath. Letting this breath breathe you. Just noticing how there's a beginning on the in breath. There's an ending on the out breath. And then a new cycle begins. In breath, out breath. And if you get caught in a story, the mind taking you away in a narrative, and this can come in the form of thoughts. The thoughts can come in the form of images or narrative, words. Just noticing that. If you're noticing you're doing this perfectly, there's no right way, wrong way. It's only required for you to be here. Pay attention. Noticing your experience unfold. And if emotions rise, frustration, impatience, sadness, or even joy, just noticing that too. Noticing how they might come up for a bit and again, they run their course and it changes again. Just like everything has a beginning and an end. And the new cycle starts again. And in the midst of everything, you're that kind observer. Without attachment, without clinging into anything or wanting to be your experience different than what it is. We're just observing what rises, what passes. whether your feet are rooted in the ground or the body's lying. You can just be like a tree, either way. Strong roots. No matter what, the tree just stands. This practice can be that root, that interconnection, connected to everything. And just like a tree, no matter what, it stands. Even if there's strong winds, storms, it knows how to bend with the weather. Resilient. It knows that it will change. He knows that in the spring it will be covered of green and color, perhaps flowers, fruit. And it would adapt to the summer as well, even in the heat. It will use all the waters collected in case there is not enough water and it's too hot. It knows it has all the resources to make it. And when the fall comes, it sheds everything that is unnecessary. And this tree is not married to its appearance. It might be lush and green at some time, and it might be bare, brown, and just the trunk. Some others. Despite the freezing temperatures of the winter, still stands because he knows it will change. And once the spring comes, new leaves will start growing. Becoming lush and green. Time to restore. It stands proud no matter what, because life runs through it. That's enough. And in the depth of the ground, the tree's roots are expansive, they're long, they're connected to nature, to the earth, to all living beings, to each other, always communicating. It might look like it's alone sometimes. It might look like a lonely tree here or there, but it's never alone. Its roots are connected to every other tree and every being in the planet. And just like that, so are you. And just like trees depend on one another, and in nature, so do these bodies. We're all dependent on one another. A poem called For a New Beginning by John O'Donohue says, in out of the way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you are ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety, And the great promises, the sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, will you always live like this? Then the delight when your courage kindled, and now you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will find home in a new rhythm. For your soul senses the world that awaits you. Whenever you're ready, your own pace, coming back to this body, acknowledging it. It is your connection to all. And then maybe taking a deeper than normal breath. And on the out breath, really gently just noticing what it needs right now from you. Does it need to move in a certain way? Does it need to stretch? And if it feels right for you right now to open your eyes, you may open your eyes. And if not, you can just keep them quiet, closed. So there is this constant that we all go through, the constant of change. It's the only thing that we can count on. That everything is bound to change. And with each ending, there's a new beginning. So in Buddhist psychology, the Buddha thought that seeing beginnings and endings, the arising and passing away of all conditioned forms, is a vital step in developing the understanding that nothing exists apart from interdependent. Everything is connected. And there might be needed specific conditions for things to rise. There might be specific conditions for things to end. But it's all interconnected in some way. So this past year, one of the things that I really wanted to do was to really connect more with nature in my everyday life. And And a way that I did that, besides going out into nature, taking walks, was to go to my local farmers market. So here in the US, we have farmers markets, and now all over the world, there are places where you can find fresh things from farmers, but here we have certain days. So in my neighborhood, that's Sundays. And one of the things that my husband, my partner, and I started doing was to go to this farmers market and see what's in season, mainly fruits, and to nourish our bodies based on what Earth provided for us at that time, straight from the farms around here. And it's been a wonderful experience of seeing change throughout the year. You know, certain fruits are available to us in the summer, and so we buy those. And before, we used to just go to the market if we wanted pineapples because they come from different places. And, you know, even in the winter. And now we are just going to the farmers market and really this seeing this interconnection of our bodies. Like right now, we're going into, it's the fall, we're going into the winter, and there's oranges, so vitamin C, and, you know, there's citruses. And it's been just a beautiful experience of seeing change and seeing how the body is so connected and how the earth provides what is needed. And so with this theme of just things changing and this theme of new beginnings, there is an ending and then there is a new beginning with that. I wanted to just share briefly a story that that spoke really, really greatly to me in a time of struggle when I lost somebody. And and I think it speaks a little bit of change. I think it does in some way of how things perhaps come in a different form all the time with this change. So this story is written by Franz Kafka. He was a German speaking called kind of bohemian novelist of the 20th century literature. And there's a story that goes on, and I'm not sure this is true, but I found it on the internet. And so he says that at 40, Franz Kafka, who never married and had no children, walked through the park in Berlin when he met a girl who was crying because she had lost her favorite doll. She and Kafka searched for the doll unsuccessfully. Kafka told her to meet there the next day, and they would come back to look for her. The next day, when they had not yet found the doll, Kafka gave the girl a letter written by the doll saying, "Please don't cry. I took a trip to see the world, and I will write to you about my adventures." And this began thus began the story, which continued until the end of Kafka's life. During their meetings, Kafka read the letters to the doll, carefully written with adventures and conversations that the girl found adorable. Finally, Kafka brought back the doll. He bought one but it was the doll that had returned from Berlin. It wasn't the same doll, it was one that he bought. And she said, "It doesn't look like my doll at all," said the girl. And Kafka handed her another letter in which the doll wrote, "My travels have changed me." The little girl hugged the new doll and brought the doll with her to her happy home. A year later, Kafka died. Many years later, the now adult girl found a letter inside the doll, and the tiny letter signed by Kafka, it was written, "Everything you love will probably be lost, but in the end, love will return in another way." In the end, love will return in another way. And so I think it does speak quite a bit about change, embracing that things do change, but there is this incredible force out there that if we are actually open to seeing, we can feel it, we can see it, we can sense it. And I think in some ways our mindfulness practice quiets all the noise for us to actually tune into this, to feel it, to sense it, to see it in others. And so yeah, I love to just leave you with that. And again, from everything I share, take what you need, leave what you don't. These are just, everything I share with you is based in my own experience, based in things that have helped me, I have learned, and just things that training in itself doesn't really give you, that the practice gives you, and we all have our own wisdom. And so thank you so much for a wonderful year, for your practice, for being here, for showing up, and for this space that you co-create with me. Thank you.